pick up the speed chute, get it out of your closet because you shouldn't throw it away. I tell you, we were watching that video with DK Metcalf when he ran that 100-meter. Don't get me wrong, that boy can run. I mean, 6'3", 6'4", what's he weigh, 235, running that 100-meter dash at that Olympic trial thing. Kind of crazy to see him actually get out there and run with the big boys. He kept up with them until that later phase.
He hung with them. Now, and then I went back and watched him run the 4.33 in the combine. Dude can run.
Yeah, it's kind of funny because you look at that video, we were kind of brainstorming some ideas of what to bring you guys. And it's kind of funny because when we work with high school kids, most of the time you look at them in those longer distance sprints, and my go-to would be, let's get the speed chutes out. Let's start running some resisted sprints so you got a little bit more endurance towards that back half, whether you're losing a little bit of your speed or you just don't have the endurance capabilities to keep it at the end. You know, those two versions of training, yeah, not saying DK Metcalf's going to get faster. That's a big boy running against some Olympic sprinters. So I'm not really suggesting that by any means, but I thought it was kind of funny because as soon as I saw that video, it brought me back to working with kids and trying to teach them how to get that last leg and get the speed chute back out. Don't throw that puppy away. A lot of people trying to get rid of him.
A lot of people have done that. It was almost kind of like it was a dying idea. And I think, man, when you think about, okay, that last 20 yards, that last 10 yards, that can I maintain a higher top speed? There's really nothing better than a parachute.
Well, the parachutes are nice for a couple different reasons. Fit in your bag, easy to move around. One of their biggest downfalls, though, of course, is weather conditions. I mean, if you've got a side wind or something like that, if you're outside, but there's a lot of indoor places now that you can run and utilize parachutes, which kind of helps a lot in that capacity. But I would never suggest running all these short-term sprints with it. If you really want to get that last leg of a 100-meter dash, that's where you got to train. You're training that back half. Get up over that 60 yards and beyond. That's the part of it that you're going to have to start getting into. You see a lot of times when there's not quite much organization, or if it's just a dad, you know, I can't tell you how many emails and comments I've worked with before in the past. You know, we've been doing this since, 2010, 2011, and you get a comment that's, you know, how do I use this parachute? I've got him out, you know, in the backyard. And I'm like, well, what's the dimensions of your backyard? Well, it's probably about 20, 30 yards. I mean, imagine if you're running with a parachute and that thing really doesn't even hit you until 10 yards probably, right? So in that shorter area which you're working in, that real estate's not going to let a parachute shine. The reason for a parachute or any type of resisted sprints is to help you have the endurance and that top end speed as you get striding out. Most all top level sprinters, if you're running with a chute, it really truly isn't giving you good, consistent resistance until at least 20 yards or greater.
Well, and you think about getting to the end of that race, in the last 10 yards, that's when you either tend to drag or you've got that burst that you're going to have to fight through it. Because there's fatigue kicking in.
Yeah, you've got to, most definitely, especially when you're going to max effort for that amount of distance. But, you know, DK Metcalf and that thing, could you imagine being at the other end of that with him on football pads on?
Yeah, it's 6'3", 220. No, thank you.
I think he was 235, I was reading on that specific run when he was at the Olympic trials. But that's like a freight train.
I would be thinking if dude's going across the middle, that's the backer's job.
No kidding. I'd be out of the way for sure. That'd be pretty intimidating. But now, like, to add a little bit more context to speed chutes, you know, it's great for building that top end speed and resisted running. The one thing that I would recommend for an awful lot of people with the resisted sprints, whether you're using victory ropes around the waist or you can tie two of those pull up style bands together and utilize an anchor from the back. The trouble is it's two different things, right? You're training the same thing. You're getting stride length because you have resistance driving off the ground. That's traditionally in the textbooks what you're training is going to be stride length when it's a resisted movement. But when you're doing the resisted, you can't go 100 meters with an anchor. That's going to be that's going to be the two big differences between the item. Those modalities are going to be training your stride length. But a parachute, it's pretty darn good at getting out there and getting those longer distances. As long as you're not having to change direction, if you have side wind, any of those things, you're not really going to get a better tool where you can run at top end speed and then get resistance. Because most other anchoring devices, no one's going to be able to hold their form consistently with an anchor chasing them at a 100-meter time frame. Most of those are going to be short burst style, 40 yards probably going to be max. If you got up to 60s, your form's going to be so messy, and it's just not a very great style of training if you're really wanting to use that.
I think they
longer
both are really great products. Now, when you talking about the chute training, when it opens and you get it up off the ground, it's all you, buddy.
Yeah, I think it's kind of funny too. You see videos where young kids are in the parachutes, and you love to see that. But unfortunately, if you run it too slow, the thing doesn't air up very good.
And quit looking back to see if it opened. It'll let you know.
I remember working with this little kid, and he wanted more chutes. Right? He was like, "Let's put 3 on this time," and they're barely airing up, and I just kept clipping them on for fun. It was towards the last half of the workout, but it's always kind of funny to watch it. It's always more is better, more is better. It's like, man, you just got to air one up. Let's get one aired up first.
And it is a good product for those kids.
Yeah.
But they have to learn, what am I trying to do? Trying to maintain that top speed, build through that drag. But that's farther down, that's your 50, 60, 70-yard range. So.
Yeah, technique is going to be key in that. And I think that's one thing that whenever you're running sprints, 60 yards or greater is not much fun.
No.
When you're out there trying to train and you're really trying to get some more of that top end speed through those later phases, it's difficult to maintain your form, but that's going to be one of the biggest focuses that you got to have when running with a chute. And that's where I keep talking about that side winder things. It's really best almost to use a parachute indoors, because when you're on a football field and you're running the first half and you're going, straight and you're trying to optimize your results, right? I'm 60 yards, 70 yards, 80 yards. I'm trying to work on that. A lot of places that you go have different winds throughout the stadium or different winds in the area. So if you get around 70 yards, you're a prime time. You're really getting in that training zone, and then you get a crosswind when you leave the building and it starts pulling you to the left. Unfortunately, it's kind of getting in the way a little bit of what you're trying to achieve. So indoor tracks are awesome for that, but you probably almost have to run them corner to corner. Some people have access to this. Others just get out there on like a super humid, dreadful day is what you need.
Well, the nice thing about it is it doesn't weigh hardly anything. You can put it in the bag. Hey, I've got no wind today, or maybe I'm going to run into the wind. Then you can use it. It's there. When you go inside, are you going to have that angle? Are you going to be able to go across? So I think you just have it in the arsenal and use it periodically.
Yeah, when the weather's right. I mean, that's always been my biggest observation with it, was like the product works so well. A speed chute works so well when you're on that back half of a longer sprints. Mm-hmm. But it's just tough to get those conditions in most places, weather, wind,
It's not something that you've got to do 3 or 4 times a week. Even if you did it 1 time a week, it's a little bit different contrast. So go back and forth between the assistants and that, and it's just another great training tool. It's in your bag.
Absolutely. That video, though, I tell you, that DK Metcalf, I was looking at a whole bunch of information from him, his training style. That dude is huge.
Oh.
I mean, seeing him at that combine, the video we were watching with the combine training, I don't know what he did, 20 reps, 18 reps or something on the 225. Maybe I'm selling him short.
It
was like 35 seconds of him pressing.
Starting to count him, and he's got 2 more. He's got 1 more. Then you could see when he was done, but pretty impressive. And you know what? He was inside.
Yeah. He didn't even have that wide bench press position. He was just, let me grab the weight and throw it up. And
now you don't realize that grip means he had to go farther with the weight. So
he's a tall guy, too.
Yeah.
He's a tall guy.
6'3".
I don't want him coming at me. What was his 40-yard dash?
4.33.
4.33.
At 6'3", 220.
Watch out.
You better jam him with the line of scrimmage.
No kidding. Well, we appreciate you listening today. If you need a parachute, head to kbandstraining.com. We've got some speed chutes that are detachable. You can use 1 chute or 2 chutes. Or if you got them in your bag, don't forget to use them. Check out the conditions. If the wind's a little bit down that day, or you've got some indoor arenas to use, it's still a great training tool to build your top end speed and really try to build some endurance with those longer strides.